Hello and welcome back to the It's Karmic podcast with me, your host, Vika Bradford. I am here today with my girl, Mystic Bru. Oh my gosh, Bruna. I'm so excited you're here with me. For anyone listening, Bruna has been on the podcast before. I will link that in the show notes so you can get to know her full story and whatever we talked about back in 2023. But thank you for coming back on.
Of course. Thank you for inviting me. I love talking to you
Mm.
about all the mystical, magical things happening in the world.
I know, I know. And it's so funny because you left Instagram 2024 or was it 2023?
I think it was 2024. I left. Like my profile is there, but
Hmm.
it's just no longer a priority.
Yeah. And so you weren't like as in my fields because I was there, right? And then I remember missing your energy and being like, where's that girl at?
Oh,
And then when I left Instagram at the start of this year, like fully went to Threads because it felt better. And there you were. And I was like, oh, there she is, just fully embodied. And then I was like, oh, and she's on Substack as I moved to Substack. So you made the move just energetically before I did. And then I just was like, oh, I found you.
right. We're always going to connect wherever we are. And
I
that's
love
something
it.
else that I've found myself is because you know, as someone who's has a brand and is building a business, it can become really hard sometimes to balance my personal need for needing to retreat and taking some time away with the
Yeah.
business aspect of visibility and clientele and all of that. So I keep reminding myself whoever I'm meant to connect with and work with will always find me in whatever way is best to release that sort of pressure.
Yeah, I've been sitting with that a lot lately in like my move out. I literally burned my whole Instagram down. I just deleted I archived every post and just left. And then I'm like, this is so interesting. Not a lot of people are coming with me. And then
Mm,
I'm like, that's actually okay. It's actually so okay that not a lot of them are coming with me. I'm sure a lot of them are still listening to the podcast and other ways, but I'm like, okay, it's okay that they're not coming in the direction I think that this needs to go. So I love that reminder.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So as I found you, rediscovered you, and I was so happy
Mm,
to find you. I'm scrolling through threads and I have to grab it because I have to read it properly. And you post this thing, and I'm like, we need to talk. So
right.
what you said, what you said for one of your articles on Substack. So good, by the way. I will link this article for everyone in the show notes as well, based on whatever we discover today in the conversation. But you wrote, the spiritual war was already fought and won. And I dead stopped. And I was like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And you're like, what you're experiencing now is the physical reality catching up to the energetic shift. In order to do that, things need to be exposed. Well, isn't that the damn truth? In so many
Right.
ways, but I like dead stopped on that, went to the article, and then I was like, we need to talk.
Yeah. I was like, okay, let's.
Yeah.
Which
So
is funny because
let's, yeah.
a year ago.
Yeah. Oh, that one was a year ago?
Yeah.
Wow. So you had reposted it, and my brain was like, I need this right now. And I think we all need this conversation right now.
Yeah. Well, that's the other thing I'm learning too is I tend to be a little early with everything.
Yeah. But isn't that funny too? I'm thinking about your birth chart. You have Aquarius ruling your 12th house, right?
No, but I do have Aquarius Venus.
Okay, so like a little bit ahead of things, a little bit, you just like step ahead, which is actually great, which is so great because it's there.
Also, where is everyone? Why aren't we all talking about? Or, as I'm sure you may have experienced, you you become very triggering, for
Mm,
lack of a better term, because you
mhm.
may, at least in my journey, and you've seen my chart and you know all of the chaos that is beautifully orchestrated in there of just sometimes bringing things up before people are ready to receive
Yeah.
it. that's a common thing, which again, I work with the shadow. That's a huge
Yeah.
part of what I do, and that's part of it. It's a delicate dance, but I remember with that post specifically too, it was so heavy on my spirit that I wrote it like this because it was just like there's a lot of friction right now. And again, this was February of 2025,
Wow.
and you never know how things are going to play out. So, yeah, with the Substack stuff, I'm always like, I got to get better at like reposting things that people may have missed. And that happened to be one of them. And then now here we are.
Mm. And it's so beautiful because as I was rereading it this morning, just getting my tendrils back in what we're discussing today, I was like, wow, everything you wrote about was like you had your fingers in the shift that is here now, that we're fully embodying now, with everything shifting into the Aries energy. We're going to have the Uranus Gemini shift. Like Pluto's really settling its bones into it really is in Aquarius at this point. But you talked a lot about this war that we have been already in, already fighting, already existing in. And and I feel like a lot of us, not everyone, but a lot of people haven't realized they've been fighting this war and that you spoke to this. And I feel like this is what we need to talk about right now is like the spiritual, psychosomatic, like a whole war that we're in. And then the
Yeah.
exposure that you talked about. Yeah.
Mm, yeah. Let's do it. Let's get
Let's
into
do
it.
it. Yeah. Okay. So tell me when you were tapping into writing this piece, yeah, tell me what was coming through for you, the bigness of it.
Well, it was again, just so people know, I am not a political analyst. I am by no means an expert in what we're seeing manifest physically. But when it comes to the sort of bridge between the psyche and the spirit, and how I've seen things play out, and how I know the shadow works, and how I know everything is quantumly entangled, that's the lens I see through. And so at that time, February 2025, Trump had just been inaugurated the month before. There was a lot of fear about what that means and what that means for America and where are we moving to and is this going to become Handmaid's Tale and what is all of this that's coming up. And my spirit was just, I know for me personally, I was like, oh, from what I've experienced in the last specifically 5 years at that time, now 6, there was already a war happening, but it wasn't necessarily always visible. It wasn't always tangible. It was a type of war, and again, personally through my experience, but also with everyone close to me that I was witnessing, it's like we all had to descend into our personal underworld and see what was there, what needed to be faced, what needed to be transmuted, what needed to be integrated. And for me, there were multiple moments where I felt like a soldier that was getting beaten the
Mm.
fuck up over and over and over again. And I know you resonate with that because I know
Yeah.
that you are also experiencing your own journey in that. And so the imagery that I would get often is we are all soldiers on this battlefield that we cannot see physically.
Mm.
And not everyone was there, like not everyone had that experience necessarily at that time. So from the outside looking in, it was a lot of, well, where did you go? What happened to you? You disappeared, all these different things. And I was like, I went to war. Like I was fighting a lot of things that were making it clear that this has to be now. Like this is happening now. And so when I was writing that piece, I always want to come with everything that I do. I want to offer and invite people to see things through a different perspective. And this was another one of those things. What I saw and what I felt and what I was being guided to know is everything is connected. There's a micro to the macro always. So what I was experiencing personally in my life, which then was reflected with all the people closest to me going through very similar experiences, but obviously unique to their situation, was then leading to collectives experiencing the same energetic signature on a massive scale. So, in that piece, I was trying to illustrate the shadow work, the descent, the underworld journey, the alchemy, the transmutation, the transformation that we were experiencing as sirens are going off right now. I don't know if you can hear that.
I can hear them.
Like alarm
Feels
bells.
appropriate. Yeah.
Right. It was very much your collapsing paradigms that no longer are sustainable and do not align. As you do that individually, it's a web. So it's crumbling everything that's connected to you, but remembering that everything is connected to you. And not you as in me, you as in everybody. So
Hmm.
I just wanted to share perspective because it can be a very scary and valid in that time to see what is happening externally and feel like this is the end of the world, but it's
Hmm.
the end of a world.
Yeah.
And so when I was writing that, I just wanted to offer people a lens of hope, but also reassurance that what's happening right now is not necessarily new. It's like a domino effect. That first
Yeah.
domino was over a long time ago, and it starts within, just like your personal journey,
Hmm.
before you experience it externally. And unfortunately, what we have been doing internally, well, many of us, and more to come,
Yeah.
is collapsing a lot of beliefs, a lot of patterns, a lot of ways of being that were inherited, that were taught, that were unconsciously embodied in order to consciously align with what's true for us. And we're seeing it play out in the world now. And not to get too ahead of myself, because I don't know exactly what you want to ask, but what's happening right now, as scary as it may seem, had to happen. Like it
Hmm.
had.
Yeah.
Trump is a very polarizing individual.
Yeah.
People are not usually in the middle with him. It's like
Hmm.
you lean one way, and he makes it easy to do that because of
Hmm.
what he stands for and who he is. That energy, polarizing energy like that, that's a catalyst and a strong one. And
Hmm.
so when we talk about the exposure, what has been conveniently running in the undercurrent of this country and this society because we were never brought to a boiling point to have to face it would have continued to run should we not get to a point now where we are faced with, are you sure? Now that you know, now that it's visible, now that it's been brought up, the awareness is here. So
Yeah.
what are you going to do with it? And so that piece was really just to illustrate that many of us have been going through that journey in the unseen in ways that's beyond just like, oh gosh, I wish I'd wake up earlier and get more things done. It's like, oh no, there's very unhealthy entity attachments that have been feeding off of my bloodline for centuries.
Hmm.
And now it's trying to feed off of me. And good
Yeah.
fucking luck because you don't know what you're up
Hmm.
against. And that's when you
Yeah.
become that warrior, that spiritual warrior, and you show up and you do things differently, and you may be the black sheep, and you may be ostracized, you may be criticized or judged, but you know the calling that you're being asked to answer. And so
Hmm.
many of us went to war in the spirit.
Yeah.
We battled. We have wounds, but we also have new outlooks, new energy, and the tools to help us lead those who are just now stepping into that journey.
Hmm. I have so many thoughts.
I know. I'm sorry.
So many thoughts. I'm like, yes, 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 yes. Okay. The one thing that's coming through out of the tendrils, like that I want to grab here, 2018, 2019, I was having these dreams. Like all the time, several times per month, these repetitive dreams where I was using energy to like fight. Like there was things attacking me and I would in the dreams I was using Reiki energy because that's all I really knew at the time. It's like how my brain could put like a word to it, I guess, in the dream where I would be using like literally Reiki to be like, no. And there'd be these like, yeah, entities, spirits. It wasn't people, it was energy attacking me and me fighting back for, I would say 2 years I had these dreams. And then when 2020 happened, I was like, oh, like as the years went on, like that's what that was showing me was that that's what we were entering into and what we have been doing. And when you're
Mhm.
talking about all this, I'm like thinking about, yeah, entities. Even when you're speaking about Trump, like I can feel that, like I try to be neutral on him because I'm just like in a space where I'm like, I'm just gonna watch this because I can't do
Mhm.
anything. But I feel the visceral like response in my body that I think is the egregore of what he's become, like this thing that is bigger than a human being, bigger than Trump. He's become an egregore, right?
Yeah. Well, egregores are a lot of what we're fighting,
Yeah,
what he's attached to, what he feeds and the which isn't even him. Like again,
exactly.
he's a character, but
Yes.
entity that is because you use what word were you using? Tendrils?
Tendrils. Yeah.
Like that. So if you think of it that way, like almost like this big octopus with just like
Yes.
attached to everything. He is attached, but it's not him.
Mhm.
And that's what I kept trying to explain in other pieces I've written and in conversations I have. It's like this isn't a red or blue fight. This isn't a white or black fight. This isn't a Christian or Islam or Jewish fight. Like this is an
Yeah.
entity, an
Hmm.
egregore that has been harvesting off of the energy of those who it siphons from by giving it the fear, by giving it the doubt, by giving it, which
Yeah.
again, I want to be clear in saying it's very human to feel fearful right now.
Yeah.
We are in the midst of so much uncertainty, which is the root of so much fear. But it's also asking you, are you willing to sacrifice more of your life feeding into an energy that is not aligned with how you know you're meant to experience life
Mm.
just because it's more comfortable and familiar? And
Right.
many of us face that in our personal life, whether it's with relationships, with our families, with jobs, with whatever. It's like you get to a point where you're like, this is not aligned. But
Mhm.
then you have the fork in the road of, but if I leave, I don't know what else there is. But if I stay, I am choosing to continue to feed into an energy that now is also unconsciously reminding me that I am abandoning and betraying myself and what I know I want in order to stay in a space that I know.
Right. Yeah.
So it's
Feels
Freudian.
comfortable, right? Yeah. And as you're saying that, I'm thinking about like all those little things we meet in our lives, like you said, like relationships, money, jobs, like all these things where we feel trapped in them, right? We're like, there's no way out, there's no other option. This is how it is. There's no changing it. And then I'm thinking about us as a society feeling that mirrored in like whether it's government or I think it's bigger than government, but in this place where we're like, this is how it is. This is how it's always been, quote unquote, and this is how we exist. So I'm feeling like that piece where we're like, how do we push past this? How like I am stuck here. There is no other option, even though that's not true. That's like the comfort. It's not even comfortable, but it's some sort of weird comfort because what's beyond that is us building this new world, which is terrifying, right?
Yeah, yeah. And it's also asking you to expand beyond what you've allowed yourself to believe you're capable of.
Yeah.
Same way that when you are in an abusive relationship and you know that you're not meant to be in a relationship that abuses you because that's not what a relationship is meant to do, and you find the strength and the ability. because again, there's that portion of it too. There's a lot of people who feel stuck in abusive situations because they don't have the resources to
Yeah.
be able to leave. But should that opportunity come in whatever way, it's still terrifying, even when you know that this is not good for you, because
Right.
it's now asking you to detach from a story that you have allowed yourself to believe is true. This must be all I'm worthy of. This is
Mm,
just who I am.
mm,
We hear that with a lot of people who refuse to go to therapy
yeah.
because they're comfortable with the story of who they've allowed themselves to be. Now, if you blow that up and expand it to a collective and not just an individual, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
America, well, this is what America was founded on. This is just how it is over here.
Mhm.
This is just how it is because this is all we've allowed it to be.
Yeah.
But that's not to say it's all it could ever be. And that's
Right.
why so many visionaries are being called to the front now because it's going to require allowing yourself to imagine a world that is different than what we were taught is possible.
Mm. Hmm.
But in order for us to imagine that, we have to break away from everything that doesn't allow us to even picture that.
Yeah. Which is so so Aquarian, right? So
Right.
Aquarian that we're having to do this work. And I loved what you said earlier about um, the the awareness that came through from many people around, 2020. Some people way before, if we think about like people like David Icke back there just trying to tell people things were going wrong in what
Right.
the like the 90s, the 80s. And then 2020, obviously a mass amount of people started to see something was wrong. And now we're seeing it again. We're seeing like another amount of people being like, hold on, all these people we called crazy are not crazy. And I've been reading a lot about good and evil lately, which is hilarious because Lucifer is at 3 degrees in Leo, being opposed by Pluto. And when I realized this, I was like, oh, this is why I keep buying books on evil. Okay. So I've been reading, yeah, good and evil, like the Watigo virus, all these things. And I'm thinking like about how infected we get with entities, with energies that are, like you said, like that have been working through our bloodlines, that have been working through us as a collective for so long. Like literally, what do they call it? Loosh? Is that what they call it? They think that's the energetic term for what they eat, the loosh. Yeah. I'm like just thinking about them gorging on periods of time like right now. When they are just
Yeah.
like, yes, so much fear, so much chaos, so much anger, hate, rage. Like thinking about how many people have died this year, last year, so many people, and people have cheered on their deaths. And I'm like, wow, we're
Mhm.
really just feeding into this archetypal egregore like energy, these entities, like they're having a buffet right now.
Yeah. Well, it's also something that's unfortunately common when you are experiencing shadow work
Yeah.
to pendulum swing in that way. You know, when you finally sort of broken free from, say, this energy over here, often will swing to the other extreme because again, it's a mirrored reflection.
Mm,
Either extreme is not healthy, it's not balanced. And
right.
so I know for me and when I work with clients, I utilize this as okay, you're getting to know your limits, which is necessary information because you can't find balance if you don't know your limits. But it's the awareness of I'm not staying here either. Just because it's the polar opposite of this doesn't make it good or evil.
Right.
Either or is still in extreme, it's skewed, so it's not balanced. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, shadow work, it can be really easy to become the thing you just healed from. Now
Yeah.
you're putting it on, it looks a little different, and you justify it because of what you've gone through, but now you're doing the whole thing. We see this a lot in the spiritual community as far as like just breaking out of, dogmatic indoctrination, religion, organized religion, that, and then you swing, and now you're doing the same thing but with a
Yeah,
spiritual vocabulary. Now you are
literally.
doing sort of indoctrination, the same control, the same manipulation, but your tools are different and your words are a little different, but the energetic signature is the same.
It's the same.
And until you can take your ego out of it, you can get stuck there.
Yeah.
So we're having to not just break free from what we've always known, but in that journey of moving beyond awareness and into integration, you have to then become aware of, am I doing the same thing slightly different?
Hmm. Yeah.
That requires
And that's
a lot of
that's a hard line to walk, right? Where we're like having to recognize our well, our ego, one, and the part of us. I've witnessed this a lot, and I'm sure you have as well, on both sides, where there's just this like the virtue, like I am better because I'm awake, or I am better because I'm on this side or that side. I know more than you. Or yeah, you're a conspiracy theorist, so I'm better than you. And I'm like, we're all just hitting like you said, the opposite spectrum here and going like all like hard right or hard left, not necessarily the political parties, but taking those hard rights and lefts and landing in a place where, yeah, like if you can justify celebrating someone's death because that person went against your beliefs, no matter what they were, then we've hit the wrong end of the spectrum here. We've gone way out of bounds, right?
yeah. And even on the other end of it, which may seem more socially acceptable, of the savior complex,
Yeah.
martyrdom, thinking that it's now your job to wake people up or to save the world.
Yes.
Saturn in the 12th house. Okay, I feel responsible for everything in this world, and it's been exhausting. And that was one of the
Yeah.
things that I had to work through of, actually, Bruna, you're not some superhero that's here to like save everybody. In fact, we're going
Yeah.
to keep showing you that you can't do that. But what
Mm.
you can do is make sure that you are being so honest with yourself, that you lead with so much integrity that anything and anyone that crosses your path will be affected by your presence alone because they are experiencing something that may inspire them to question the way they show up in the world, or at least
Yeah.
show them something different. And so instead
Mm.
of putting yourself on a pedestal, like rise up with me, it's like, no, I'm
Yeah.
here with you. And I have done the work enough to be able to show up perhaps differently than you have experienced, or to at least show you that this work is not reserved for a chosen few. It's
Yeah.
literally available to everybody, but also knowing that not everyone here has the same karmic journey. You know this
Right.
better than anybody. You work with
Right.
karma all the time. So it's
Yeah.
honoring that, and honoring that you may also be utilizing control, the ego, a need for validation, a need to feel important by inserting yourself in someone else's karmic journey that is
Mm.
theirs.
Yeah.
Hmm?
Yeah, it's such a good point of that. And I've lived this many times in my life. You probably have too, because we're human. Where yeah, we want to just hmm, we think, yeah, we've evolved to a point where we can fix people. It's my Virgo too, just being like, I'll fix you. And for you, the savior. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm seeing my 12th house as well. Like, I'll save you, I'll fix you, I'll make everything correct. Somehow one of my friends on the last podcast called it managing energies. She was like, yeah, you're managing everyone, right? So you go into a space and you're like, I'm going to manage this room. I'm going to manage this country. I'm going to manage all the energy. And I was like, oh shit, I've been managing a lot of things that are not my own. And this is so important to say, like, when we look at this, it's like, yeah, I'm not perfect. I'm literally not perfect. I'm still flawed. I still have moments where I've wanted to throttle the Prime Minister of Canada. I've thought evil things, thought terrible things, right? And I'm like, okay, that still exists within me. That's the shadow. That's real. That's human. And then consciously being able to work on the part of me, like you said, that can create ripples by not being that version of me, right? Not being that shadow that wants to do terrible things when she feels threatened, when she feels scared, when she's angry. The very animalistic side of me that exists and having deep ownership in that, right?
Exactly. And that primal sense of understanding the shadow is not asking you to be someone else, it's asking you to stop pretending. And
Yeah.
so when we are always in this love and light type of situation, it's avoidance sometimes.
Yeah.
It's less of, and again, it's a fine line. Of course, you
Hmm.
don't want to always live in doom and gloom and expecting the worst and thinking of the worst case scenario and thinking negatively and whatever else. But sometimes it's just as simple as honoring that there are thoughts, emotions, feelings that may arise that are not comfortable, that are
Yeah.
not, like the most socially acceptable. But
Yeah.
again, it's human and that rises up. The difference is whether or not you act on it, what you do with
Yeah.
that information. And we
Right.
need the shadow. Like that's,
Yeah.
you're never going to get rid of it. You
No.
can't. It's a part of you.
Hmm.
So less about trying to control it or trying to disintegrate it, and more about gaining its trust and its respect so that you are the one in command and not that. But your shadow will want to be the driver if it keeps noticing that you refuse to acknowledge what it's highlighting for you.
Hmm. Yeah. And as
It's
you
like
say,
a kid in
highlighting. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it's like a kid in the back seat and you're driving and say you're about to drive off a cliff and it keeps trying to tell you, hey, this is dangerous,
Yeah.
turn.
Yeah.
You're fucking up right now and you're not seeing it because you don't want to pay attention to anything that challenges what you feel comfortable, again, believing is true for you.
Yeah.
So it's again building that trust. It's building that awareness and level of respect. At least for in my journey, I've noticed like my shadow would fight to take control because it did not trust that I was willing to do what is necessary to protect myself and to honor
Hmm.
myself.
Oof. That's big.
Right.
That's
So
really big.
that's me. I have to
Yeah.
sit with the fact that she comes out because she doesn't trust that I will stand up for myself. So she will. But when she
Yeah.
does it, it's different.
It's different.
It's
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, and I'm thinking about like this is a perfect metaphorical example for everyone to sit with when we're thinking about things like Trump, in America and the world at this point, the influence or what he creates within you, right? And same here in Canada, like our government's batshit crazy, and what that stirs in me, I have to sit with like that is actually showing me, one maybe a violation of my values, right? Like that's incongruent. I don't accept that. I'm not okay with that. Might be showing me something where like I need to break free from this, but I don't know how. Whatever the thing is stirring in you, the shadow is coming out because there is something that feels incongruent. And then when we can sit with it, it's like, well, is that incongruence true? Or is it like the egregore and the story? Like what's actually underneath what is being stirred for you?
right, right. And what is, again, what is it feeding? Is this just
Yeah.
a narrative that I'm being asked to release, but now it creates a sort of crumbling of my identity. And we were talking, well, we didn't really talk about it, but you posted about the Neptune ascendant aspect, which
Yeah.
has been such a thing for me because they're literally at the same degree. So
Oh,
it's been very, it's a lot of reflection and it's a lot
yeah.
of having to sit with, again, what I say with return to self, questioning who you were taught and remembering who you were before the world taught you who to be.
Yeah.
Is any of this freaking true, or is this just a character I have mastered over time because I learned really early that this is who I have to be safe in this world?
Yeah. Yeah, and when you said earlier about like the reflection of the inner journey we've all been on, not all of us, but a lot of us have been going through, I would say almost anyone who's listening to this conversation right now has probably been on that journey. And then it being like this cosmic reflection, right, micro, macro, of what is happening in the world. And it's like, can we think about how painful that disruption of whether it's disintegration of self that's happening or reintegration of self, the death rebirth process, and then knowing that that's actually what's happening out there in the collective, like maybe that gives us a little grace to be like, yeah, I am scared. It's scary when I'm disintegrating my literal self. So of course it's going to be scary when the collective is disintegrating because that's the system I know how to operate within.
Right. And that's the reflection that I was noting in that piece
Yeah.
is I know that I went through multiple deaths
Yeah.
during that time in my journey. I'm sure you can relate. And a lot of the people closest to me, which were close to me to show me
Mhm.
there's nothing wrong with you. You are not
Mm.
clinically insane. You are
Mm.
experiencing things that this world does not have the support and resources to help you, but you are not the only one experiencing this. And we're going to send you others who are on a similar journey so that you at least have companionship. So you at least have
Mm.
others who can offer you, just as you offer to them, perspective, support, validation, whatever else. And so
Mm.
those deaths and rebirths, those phoenix moments, those very difficult sort of releases without knowing the next step,
Yeah.
here we are. And again, it's
Here we
not
go.
just America.
It's
It's
everywhere.
right. That's why everyone's like, well, where would you move to? And I'm like, for what?
It,
It's happening
it's
regardless. This
happening
is
everywhere.
a global
Yeah,
thing. And if we want to take it another step, which I don't know, if it's a global thing, it could be a galactic thing as well.
right. Right.
So if
Happening
there,
beyond what we know. Yeah.
right, for all we know, there is an internal war which is connected to a physical war, which is
Yeah.
connected to galactic war.
Mm.
And if there is a galactic war, what the hell's going on over there?
Mm. Yeah.
What
Yeah.
exactly are we fighting? What is it that we are reclaiming? And
Right.
again, the word that kept coming up for me is sovereignty.
Yeah.
Whatever chains, whatever shackles, whatever tethered cords have kept us stuck at a baseline sort of energy without giving room to elevate, to expand.
Hmm.
It's it's being cut. And again, it's remembering that when you, again, same as a relationship, if you've ever experienced a sort of narcissistic codependent relationship, they
Mm.
feed off each other. They
Mm.
need each
Yeah.
other in the role that they're in. So the
Right.
second one changes, alchemizes, changes the energy, the
Mm.
other energy must either change with it or it's cut. It's no longer connected.
Right.
And that's part of, I think, what we're experiencing collectively too, is a lot of people who fear being left behind in that way, left behind, because no one's left behind, but
Yeah.
it's just you are where you are. But it's that feeling of knowing there is deep change happening and I don't know where I fit in this.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I'm even seeing
Yeah.
that ripple like in the way this work is changing. Like lately, people are it was so I was one of them, very reliant on how Instagram was working and bringing in like work. And now I'm like, oh, well, that's changing. And then there's that fear process there. So it's almost mirrored everywhere at this point. I feel like everyone is experiencing it in their own vision of life.
Yeah, I feel it with my work too. There's
Yeah.
moments where I'm like, is this all about to flip? Like, is this
Yeah.
change pretty dramatically? And again, Capricorn stellium, I'm like, well, I got to get my business strategy. I have to get my
Yeah.
my stuff in order. And I am. in a place like we were talking about transparently right now where the next step feels a little hazy, like it's
Mhm.
not completely clear.
Yeah.
So I too, even with my personal work, am not quite sure what that looks like moving forward. And funny enough, this morning I got a YouTube like notification for a video. And when that happens, I'm like, maybe I need to watch this. And it was an Abraham Hicks
Mm.
video that literally talked about this. And
Wow.
this guy, right, right, of course, because that's how it happened. So this morning, as I'm cleaning, I'm listening to the video, and this man was talking to her and sharing a very similar sentiment of, feeling like he's being pulled in multiple paths, but he's not really sure which one to commit to. And they both feel like they would be gratifying, and he just doesn't want to make the wrong choice. And long story long, she basically reminded him if they both feel like they would be great, then stop worrying about which one to choose and just pick one
Yeah.
for a while and
Right.
see. And again, it's releasing that grip and allowing yourself to trust
Yeah.
that I will always be led to where it is in alignment with my highest good, and what I can conceive for myself may be incredibly less than what's available to me because I don't have access to the big picture. I've gotten
Right.
glimpses, I've gotten pings, of course, but
Yeah.
it's like, okay, so what do you want me to do today? Like, where do you want me to focus? Where do you want me to put
Yeah.
my energy? But it's just being led,
Mhm.
and feels fun and good despite everything going on, and this
Yeah.
work, this work asks a lot of
It
us.
does. It really does. And I'm laughing because in that article you wrote, I don't know shit about fuck, like the quote. And I say it all the time too, where I'm like, I don't know anything. Like my clients, my students, my mentees, I'm like, guys, I don't know anything. And I won't until I'm up there. I don't even know if I'll know when I get up there. So I love that you
Right.
said that and everything you just described there is like, yeah, we don't know as much as we think we know.
Right. Or wish we knew. Because
Wish
again,
we
it's
knew.
like you, and I'm including myself in this, you want to think you know to feel prepared.
Yeah.
What the truth is, you don't know. You
Yeah.
really don't. That's the truth. You do not know what the next moment holds.
No.
So, any sort of idea that you think you know is something that you manufactured to help you feel like you have a grip on what's going on.
Yeah.
But at the root, at the end of the day, everything could change. And so that's
Yeah.
why it's so important to build a level of trust in knowing that you are safe. And
Mm.
that's really the fundamental part of it is okay, if the truth is that certainty is a myth, and the best that we can do is manufacture certainty to the best of our ability. That's a really hard way to live if you
Yeah.
don't trust that whatever is sort of has its hands in the background of this experience doesn't want what's best for
Hmm. Hmm. And that's where it's like we really need to get into connection with God, source, divine, like the all. I call it many things, and like we all call it
you.
many
Okay.
things, right? Yeah, like do we trust that there is something guiding us, working with us, assisting us? Yeah, I feel like that's such a big, I mean, so we've gotten so far away from it. I think not we, but collectively gotten so far away from what God really is, right? Not manufactured religion, not dogma, not morality, God. And I think
Right.
that's what's happening is how far away from God we've gotten.
Exactly. And it's so many things. It's everything you just said. It's also understanding that faith is beyond church.
Yeah.
It's beyond all of that because I wrote another Substack recently called When I Broke Up with God. And
Mm,
it's very much that journey for me. I was raised Catholic. I did not resonate.
yeah,
And because my understanding was this is all God, like this is God, I
right.
guess God's not for me because this is not what I feel aligned with. This does not bring me peace or joy or support or love or any of that. It actually makes me feel quite shitty about myself and afraid of the world and shameful and doubtful and I don't want to feel all of that. So, I broke away, but part of that whole post that I shared was how God, whatever that is for you, to me,
Mhm.
same, universe, love, like it's all the same,
Yeah.
kept showing me throughout my life, like you are not on this journey alone.
Mm,
You are being guided, you are being supported, you are being protected. I've had many experiences in my life that could have gone horribly wrong.
yeah.
And again, there was some supernatural thing that was making sure that I was safe. And
Yeah.
so at some point, you look at the evidence because I was very good at worst case scenario, rumination, intrusive think. Like, this is why I work so much with the mind because that's where so
Mm,
much of my shadow would come out. And I had to be honest with myself about, okay, how many of those worst case scenarios actually came true?
yeah.
How many times were you shown that that's not what's going to happen? How many times were you shown that, not told, not taught, not read in a book,
Right.
shown in a visceral, palpable way, in ways that make no sense? How many times were you shown that you are safe and you are protected and you are supported? So the only thing that continues to feed that egregore, that energy
Yeah.
that proves otherwise is you. It
Mhm.
was me.
Yeah.
My biggest block was me. Like it
Mm,
was, but again, it was the fearful little girl who learned not to trust anybody,
yeah.
who learned to take care of herself because no one else would, who learned that this world is a scary place and people are not going to show up for you. They're just going to let you down. They're just going to disappoint you. They don't care about you. They don't actually love you. They don't want the best for you. If you see the world through that lens, you will find evidence for that. You will contort everything to make you continue to believe that because that's how you know how to show up.
Mm,
So again, it's comfortable. But to
mm,
believe, no, I am supported. People do love me. People do show up for me. People do want the best for me. Now you got to recalibrate your entire lens of the world.
yeah.
And
Hmm.
sometimes that's hard.
It's really hard. Yeah. And then once you're in it, though, you're like, whoa, this is phenomenal. What things are working out? Why is this flowing so beautifully? But you're right to flip that switch after so long. I resonate so deeply with that, right? And to flip that switch is very hard, and a lot of people don't want to do that work. It feels so much bigger than they're capable of doing, and yet it's so life-changing.
It is. It is very much life-changing. And it's not exciting work.
No,
It's actually
no.
quite it's in the day-to-day, moment by moment sometimes. And I
Yeah.
talk to myself quite a bit, like I always have. And so I'm always coaching myself throughout
Mm,
moments of, okay, this just happened. My immediate perception of what that means is A, B, C, and D.
yeah.
Does that feed an old narrative, an old identity? Yes or no? Is this a story? Is this feeding an ongoing loop, an ongoing story? And, I've shared that publicly with my dating stuff over the years. When I had my dating blog, The Problem with Dating, when I released my book, Let That Shit Go, it was showing my own cycles and spirals when it comes to my story around whether or not I am worthy of love and what that looks like. And
Yeah.
that was always, I have to earn love. I have to chase love. I have to fix. I have to prove myself and prove that I'm worthy of keeping around because look at what all I can do. Look at how I can help you. Look at how I can save you.
Yeah.
So I don't want to leave.
Right.
And
Right.
God was
Ooh.
like, boop, boop, boop. And then I'm like, what's wrong with me? Nothing's wrong with you, but you keep wanting to focus on people who are not in a place to stay.
Yeah.
And you think if you can change that, it means something about you. It never had anything to do with you.
Right. Right. And these are the like the hardest mirrors, right? Is that we're like, I don't want to deal with this thing. And then God source divine is like, here's this thing. I saw
Right.
something recently that was like, you think you're manifesting something by saying like, I want money. And what they said, I don't know who this was, I don't know where I saw it, but they offered that when you ask for that money, then the divine will go, well, here's the shadow shit around that money because you want it, but I need you to deal with this. And I was like, oh, well, doesn't that just like it was such a alarm bell for me where I was like, oh, we ask for the thing, but if we're not entirely capable of receiving the thing, it's going to bring the thing that's in the way.
Exactly, because you need to transmute it and you need to know how it feels in your body and where it feels unsafe.
Yeah,
And money is a great example because the energy of your relationship with money and the energy of your relationship with love are one and the same.
they are.
They
Yeah.
are the same. So the same way I felt I had to prove myself in order to be in a relationship was the same energy that I felt at work where I had to prove myself in order to be wealthy, in order to be
Yeah.
financially stable. When in actuality, everything in my human design and my astrology and in my numerology and everything tells me to do less.
Right.
And yet
Same.
here I am doing
Hustling.
the doing
Yeah.
the in order to what?
Yeah.
It's the fear that if I let go, if I stop trying to control every little thing, I'll be on the street.
Yep. Yep. I resonate with that so deeply. That's been a big part of my story was that exact thought. Like the end of this is I'm living on the street. Even though, conversation after conversation with my mom, she'd be like, I will never let you live on the street." And I'm like, "But that's where this is leading." Right? So I love that you said it.
It's like one of those things where, and again, it makes sense on a humanity level,
Yeah.
given where we live, how we function, how
Yeah.
important money is as a resource. And I was thinking of that even last night about how the poor are not protected, right? Those
Mm,
who experience poverty actually experience so much danger because they are not taken care of.
yeah.
And how conveniently that feeds a capitalistic society. Because
Hmm.
then it tells you if you do want to be taken care of, if you do want to feel safe, you need to
Yeah.
earn a certain amount of money. So you got to work a
Yep.
certain amount and you got to input
Yes.
effort in order to feel safe in this country. And that's one of the things that is going to be shifting because that's not right.
Yeah. That's
It's setting
huge.
people up. Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's another crumbling, but that requires us to reframe our relationship to money, to
Hmm.
reframe our willingness to sacrifice our well-being just to survive. Also, the standards that we've accepted as far as, what countries give us to take care of ourselves, what they offer, what this is this is your duty to take care of your citizens.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And
Ooh.
I was having, I know, I was, how my brain goes,
Oh,
but
I
it's
love
just
it.
like, oh, so many
It's
thoughts about
so,
even
yeah.
before this. I was like, oh yeah, America, because I'm an immigrant, as you know.
Yeah.
And I was thinking a lot about that, especially now because Lebanon is being targeted and
Yeah.
it's just another thing that's been an ongoing experience in my life. And thinking about how much my parents sacrificed to bring me here, America. land of the free, home of the brave, the American dream, opportunities, and a chance to do something more than perhaps what Lebanon could have offered me. And there's truth there. There is truth there. However, there's also, like everything, the shadow of it.
Yeah.
Yes, there's opportunity, there is ability to do this and that, but it comes at a cost. What is that cost? And is that a
Yeah.
cost I'm willing to pay?
Right.
And when it comes to the dream, it's asking yourself, whose dream am I fulfilling? Because for a long
Literally.
time, it kind of felt like I'm helping you make your dream come true by coming to work every single day and doing this job that I hate because I have to pay my bills to survive.
Yeah.
That's another shift we're experiencing is the corporate structure is crumbling. There's
Mm.
more people that are willing to venture into entrepreneurship, willing to work less and create a schedule to where their nervous system is not being
Yeah.
completely dysregulated just to be able to pay for housing.
Right. Literally, the bare minimum. The bare
They
freaking minimum. Yeah, and it's such a good point. I've been talking to a lot of people lately about stuff like this and thinking of, the days I would like risk my life to get to work in a snowstorm here. Like, and it was either you come in this snowstorm or you don't have a job. And I'm like, I can't believe I ever put up with this. But in my nervous system, it was like, I better be there, or I'd have the flu. I'd be like on my deathbed. And I'd be like, oh, I've got to go to work because they're going to fire me if I don't show up for this shift. And I'm like, that is wild that I ever allowed this, but it's part of the system.
and that's part of the healing is forgiving yourself for putting up with that. In my
Yeah.
last corporate job, I literally had surgery and went in right after because I was the only one working and they refused to give me the day off. They said, well,
Wow.
we should have known that earlier so we could help with scheduling. I was like, I just found out that I need to have this surgery yesterday. It's an
Yeah.
emergency surgery. And
Emergency surgery.
I remember they text me, hey, have you logged on yet? And I sent them a picture of me on the hospital bed with the IVs stuck in my arms. I'm like, I'm not home. And they're like, oh, okay, well, let us know when you get there.
Wow.
And then that's when I was like, oh, I gotta quit.
Yep,
I'm
we're done.
this my fantasy of you seeing what a great employee I am and providing me more opportunities to do bigger and better things. You don't see me that way. I am
No.
a cog in the machine and you just need me to do what you need me to do for you.
Yep.
I don't like
Yep.
doing
No, no, and that has to change. Like that is part of this crumbling. So much so. I've been reading a lot about late stage capitalism. I was never one of the girls that like read about capitalism at all. And I don't have a
that.
problem with capitalism in general, but yeah, I've been reading about late stage capitalism and I'm like, is this is the issue where we've landed right here. Nothing is perfect, everything is flawed, but I'm like, okay. And this is part of it, right? Is like we've become numbers in a machine that there's no human attached to it. No life does not matter. Quality of life does not matter. It's that right there. Like I can't even imagine having an emergency surgery and then being requested to be at my place of work. Wild.
Yeah. Yeah. I think the humanity piece is like the best way to sum all of it up is
Yeah.
all of this that we are experiencing is trying to revive our remembrance that we are human beings
Yeah.
dealing with other human beings. And somewhere along the way, we have lost sight of that. And we
Mm.
are no longer honoring what that means because we don't honor each other. And that stems from not honoring ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, you nailed it.
Now we got to figure out why and let go of everything that perpetuates that harm.
Yeah. Oh, it's a big one.
I know. I know.
As we slowly wrap up here, I'm wondering if you have like any words of advice or the encouragement of like how people can kind of move through this. I'm gonna link your article. They're all gonna read it and this conversation to support. But yeah, I'm wondering if there's anything you would want to say and offer to them.
Yes, I would say that even though this time is incredibly scary and uncertain, in my heart of hearts and in my gut, I feel like the highest timeline has been unlocked.
Mm,
And for that reason, because of that reflection, like we talked about with the shadow, wherever you go, if there is bright sun, the shadow is even stronger, but it's always
yeah.
there. So instead of seeing this as just an apocalyptic, doom fueled experience, entertain the thought that we are walking through a threshold that is giving us an invitation to experience on a physical, palpable level the highest timeline humanity has yet to experience to our
Mm,
knowledge.
mm,
And with that comes the lowest shadow that will always be exposed.
yeah.
So, what we're experiencing right now is that. That doesn't make this not true anymore. It actually
Yes.
further proves its evidence that this is also available. But just like our everyday experiences, which wolf are we going to feed? It's not to
Hmm.
become negligent and ignore and dismiss this, but it's to utilize this as okay, this is information. What is it offering us? It's showing us what's not working. It's showing us what we're still tethered and shackled to that is preventing this from rising to its full potential. So, what do we
Yeah.
need to do here? And every single time I remind people, instead of focusing outward on the collective all the time, because that can be so difficult to feel capable of
Yeah.
doing. How do I save the world? How do I save this country? You save yourself.
Yeah.
You heal yourself. You go in, you say, I am part of this experience. I am part of this. If all I have control over is how I show up every single day, that's tremendous work.
Yeah.
Because, like we talked about earlier, that's the cosmic ripple. But when we are always focused on the other, we're not doing the work.
Mm.
And that does not ripple out. That sometimes creates more tension. So
Yeah.
know that what we are experiencing is just further proof that the highest timeline is also being illuminated. And it's asking you to check in and go inward and meet with your shadow and meet with yourself and see what is being asked of me to be faced, to be sat with, to be alchemized, to be transmuted. And that is my call. That is my service to the world, is making sure that I'm showing up in the world as a fully realized, balanced, integrated person who can offer the empathy, consideration, and love that I know I would need in a world like this because it's
Yeah.
authentic, it's not
Mm.
performative, and it's not an
Mm.
obligation.
Yeah. This feels so linked into the Saturn, Neptune, Aries experience we're having. Like everything you're saying, I'm like, of course. Of course. In general, yes, this is the way. And then it feels like there's just like cosmic support for us to do exactly what you just said at this time.
Yeah, that and recognizing everyone has a role to play
Yes. Yeah.
and it's different for
Yeah.
everybody. So instead of worrying about what someone else is or isn't doing, focus
Yeah.
on your paper, like focus on
Hmm.
your lane. And are
Yeah.
you doing your, because you don't know what
Right.
they're being, you don't know what they're being asked to show up as, or you don't know their day to day. You don't know the conversations people are having. You don't know what they're doing. But what are you
Yeah.
doing
I
other
love
than,
that.
right?
Yeah, that feels like a perfect reminder and way to gently close today.
Mm.
Okay. Oh, thank you for that. I just feel like I'm gonna have to sit with that because it was so good. As we're closing out, how I know people can find you on Substack and Threads, obviously. But how else can people find you, work with you? What do you got going on right now?
Yeah, so Substack is the primary destination to keep up with all the things. So that's at returntoself.me. And then if you're interested in working with me, you can check out my services at mysticbru.com, BRU.com. And then on YouTube, I just launched a new series called
Yes.
Hot Girl. So that is just a peek into my brain and how I like to connect the dots and really see the clues from the universe and to utilize astrology, the Chinese zodiac, pop culture, historical news, whatever that might be, to see the sort of through line. And my hope with that series is to invite more people into experiencing how I experience the world so
Mm,
that they can feel that support that I feel, so they can recognize the patterns that we are being given because magic is subtle, but
yeah.
we're always being guided and we're always being shown. And sometimes in a moment to moment basis, it's easy to get lost in that and not really notice it. But
Yeah.
when we're able to reflect and be like, oh, actually, clue, 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 clue. So doing that hot girl energetic equation. So tune into that on YouTube. Yeah, I'd be, shooting the shit on threads from time to time,
Yeah,
just
you do.
popping off thoughts every
I
so
love it.
often.
I love it. And for everyone listening, Hot Girl Math, I listened the other day to episode two. It was episode two. Um, it's so good. It's like the ET I loved as a like Entertainment Tonight that I loved as a kid, but with all the things I like now. So I'm like, okay, we've got music, we've got like what's happening in the world. I'm like, I didn't know that. You mentioned something about who was it, David Bowie that died, and his last album was like Black Star, and then the thing that Elvis said about if when you die, when a man dies, he'll see his black star. And I was like, what? Okay, so everyone go listen to Hot Girl Math on YouTube because it's so good.
Thank you. Yeah, right now the series is time traveling back from 2016 because I was guided to start there and work our way forward, um, which feels significant because I think a lot of us who are in this space of being called to leadership and who
Mm,
have been in a space of really alchemizing and transmuting a lot of energy, there was something significant in 2016 that
mm,
catapulted that
yeah.
journey. And so part of that part of the series is okay, let's look back at all these different things, but also let's look at your personal journey. What was your shadow
Hmm.
experiencing at that time? And so I bring it back around to really illustrate that micro macro connection of okay, the themes here, you were probably experiencing it in your personal life. And if that's
Yeah.
true, I'm simply trying to provide you evidence so you can trust in how things unfold because it's been happening whether you knew it or not.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt it listening. I felt it so much. So just like fangirling how much I love Hot Girl Math over here. Everyone needs to go watch it immediately and read your Substack too, because your articles are so well written. They're so thought-provoking. They're really good. So suggesting for anyone, like, please go do, if you don't do anything but those two things, go immediately. Um, and definitely working with you, Bruna, is just obviously such a gift. So thank you for being here and sharing your wisdom with us. I feel like people are going to get a lot out of this episode.
Well, thank you. Your support's always so appreciated and holding space in order for me to just yammer on and on about the things that excite me and that are
Yes.
important to me. I appreciate it.
We want all your yammering forever. So
Let's not go anywhere. Sorry to say.
yeah, we're here for it. So, everyone, I will share everything in the show notes, the Substack, the Hot Girl Math, the article, all the good stuff, how to connect with Mystic Brew here. And thank you guys all for listening. And Bruna, thank you for being here.
Thank you.